Business proposal for aviation training in Mongolia. As a result of evolutionary development such as high density of population, urbanization, technological development, the globalization is transforming our world even smaller. We people of Earth smoothly travel, conduct businesses, and share our experiences from country to country and continent to continent. It derives fierce competition, high capacity, the requirement of new standards, and wise decision to the infrastructure and transportation sector. The most of the countries have airspace system controlled by the military and defense, tightens the utilization of the national airspace, increasing shortage of airspace. Furthermore, the increasing shortage of airspace following establishment of advanced and significant scale airport projects and increases of the numbers of airplanes by economically developed countries has become one of the actual problems. In this limited airspace, preparing the demanding pilots as human resource, facing the challenge and increasing the demand for airspace. Thus, we're introducing you the project of establishing flight training base, which based on the advantage of the country with only civil aviation system and comparatively open air space. According to the 2016 outlook of Boeing, the passengers number will increase by 100 million annually from 2016 to 2030. The analysts have pointed out that the biggest demand for next 20 years will be the pilots, maintenance, and technical personnel. In other words, 40% of the demand will be solely for the pilots. Therefore, the fundamental of the project of business proposal for aviation training in Mongolia is the demanding requirement for 248,000 pilots for next 20 years in Asia-Pacific area. The Thomas Air Company, as an initiator of this project, is working on a research study in order to create effective airspace. We hope that the business proposal for aviation training in Mongolia project can successfully develop to regional businesses that can compete with US and Canada. China is the second biggest country by its civil aviation transportation system in the world. It is projected that by the end of the 30th five-year plan period, the increase of civil aviation transport will be 14%, while national economic growth will reach 1.5%. The demand for civil aviation transport is, according to the report of the Xinhua Agency, 10th of September 2016, China's civil aviation sector will need 9,100 pilots, 25,000 stewards, and 3,200 aircraft controllers in the 13th five-year plan period, and China will need 6,000 airplanes, 10,000 pilots, and 106,000 maintenance technician personnel in next 20 years. According to the official estimation of next 3 years, there is demand for 2,800 to 3,000 pilots annually. However, in China, the 12 national aviation schools prepare only 1,250 to 1,300 pilots. In order to solve this problem, the mandatory age and wages of pilots are increased, which cannot adequately supply the increasing demand. With some offers reaching $26,000 a month in net pay, pilots from emerging markets including Brazil and Russia can quadruple their salaries in China. Today, China is hiring pilots from foreign countries with a high cost, which become one of the factors to increase Chinese aviation companies. China spends $310,000 to hire foreign pilots every year. The salary of foreign pilots is triple times expensive than Chinese pilots. Also, due to high demand for pilots in China, they send students to prepare pilots to US and Canada by a significant expense. The most of the large cities around the world located in 5,500-mile or 10,190-kilometer radiuses. Mongolia, which has the perspective to increase air route and utilization of airspace, has a pleasant environment of infrastructure, legislation, and economy to establish flight school to conduct international flight training. Mongolia aviation sector has 92 years of history, and Mongolia became a accredited member of ICAO by joining Chicago Convention in October 1989. The Mongolian airline industry has rich history and experience which comply with similar civil aviation legislation with other countries such as US and Canada. New development projects can illustrate the development of the sector. The new airport project is implementing in Hushikt Valley of Sirlinsom in Central Province. The Mongolian Ministry of Transport expressed to provide support in the project to use Chinggis Khan Airport after implementation of new airport project in 2018. Mongolia used to rely on foreign loan and support when implementing some projects. However, we have a new strategy to cooperate mutually beneficial with the Chinese government or one of the aviation companies and airlines based on ready to run our post-investment project. According to the analysts, the ministry's policy to transform Chinggis International Airport into pilot training center will benefit the global talent scarcity problem enormously. As you can see, there are a number of advantages in founding an international standard pilot training center in Mongolia, such as to enjoy pleasant legal framework, moderated low-traffic airspace, and so on. Chinggis Khan International Airport is located in Boyuntohwa Hangul District, which is 14.7 kilometers southwest from Ulaanbaatar center. There are major airports in close proximity from the Chinggis Khan International Airport, which can support the operation of the training center. Including the Chinggis Khan International Airport, these 6 airstrips will be used as solid training platforms for the future pilots. The term 141 of the Civil Aviation Act shall apply to the certification process in the EASA and FAA approved flight school, and Mongolia has all the required resources to meet the standard. According to the standard of ICAO, the Chinggis Khan Airport is classified in level 4D and has a capacity to receive 2 or 3 million passengers a year. As for today, the airport is our only airport that complies with international standards in Mongolia, and it is equipped with the full pack of equipment, service and maintenance centers and solution of complete infrastructure, which equivalent to the investment of 100 billion tugriks. The initiation to establish a new player in the market, which has its air traffic control, engineering, safety, multi-scaled, experienced, and FAA and EASA approved certificated flight personnel, will have vast opportunity to reach every angle of the world. If involved and support the initiation, the project will not only be seen as industry cooperation but also benefit the parties economically. The frequency of field training is crucial for the quality of the pilot training. The solution to having a high field training frequency is to have study-friendly environment where it is close to a home country without massive financial pressure. In Mongolia, there is no difficulty in visa grant process for the trainees from China, low travel, living, and tuition expenses. The training will be held at international standard facilities. Chinese airlines need to hire almost 105 pilots a week for the next 20 years. Then our contribution to the aviation sector is to prepare a certain amount of pilots consistently. Airlines in China need to hire 5,550 pilots a year for the next decades. Then we will cooperate to solve the problem of preparing pilots with international certificate accepted by the world and experience of long-term flight in order to supply the demand of 111,000 pilots as of 2035. There are approximately 32,000 pilots in China, which are mostly under the age of 31 to 35, to extend the age of primary pilots according to the European standard. In China, 12 national aviation schools prepare only 1,250 to 1,300 pilots. Due to limited capacity, China is sending students to US, Europe to Australia with a high cost. They choose of the closest neighbor and prepare pilots in order to save extravagant cost. To decrease average tuition fee for 40% from the recent level of 150,000. The Civil Aviation Administration of China plans to raise the mandatory retirement age for pilots from the current 60 in near 2 to 3 years, and Japan increased the retirement year to 67. We will try to change the inevitable condition to require senior employees to drive airplanes. It is to establish FAA and EASA approved aviation training center at the international airport in relatively low traffic airspace with continental four-season weather. We have introduced the proposal of aviation training business in Mongolia. We consider this project will help to solve the Mongolian government policy to increase the utilization of airspace as well as the increasing volume of pilot demand from China. China shares the longest airspace with Mongolia and plays a major role in the air traffic control. Around 27% of air traffic is conducted by Chinese freight operators. Let us move beyond the education in aviation sector by developing the subsequent business opportunities.